The Duval Rundown, driven by Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside, home of the lifetime warranty.
Good morning. What a victory Monday we have. Hayes Carline here. Thanks for watching Duval Rundown. Please be joined as always on Monday with Frank Frangie, voice of the Jaguars and host of the Frangie Show. Frank, that was pretty spectacular stuff. Lots to get to, but just what a day for the Jaguars yesterday and thrashing the Chargers.
Yeah, it really was. And I think a lot of the good stuff we felt about them, resilient team, a mentally tough team, a team that's got a little edge to them. I think we saw all of that. They were ticked after the freaking Houston game. Liam Cohen said we're better when we're pissed off, and they are. And most teams are. But you gotta direct that in the right way, Hayes, right? And I thought they really did. I thought that was from start to finish, they were the more physical team. That might be as complete a game as I've seen them play. I can't tell you the last time in terms of it's one of their biggest margins of victory ever. They had 30 first downs to 8. Think about that stat for a second. 30 first downs to 8. I don't know that unless you're watching a college game back in the day when Florida or Alabama would play, one of the Charleston Southern. I don't know that I can remember ever seeing that. So very complete performance. They were ready to play. You and I talked about this would be a bit of a narrative game. Well, the narrative about the Jaguars is they might be pretty good. That was a terrific win, and they deserve all the accolades they're going to get from it.
And what an effort by Liam Cohen. I mean, on a multitude of levels. But let's start with what you hinted at. To get them to play like this, to get them to harness the disappointment in Houston, that's it for this franchise. A lot of years, that would have been a season sinker. That would have been the game that everybody pointed to for 8 months in the offseason and said, if only they hadn't blown that 19-point lead, maybe, Cleveland isn't sitting there with the 7th pick in the draft because the Jaguars fell apart. I mean, it's franchise altering in the sense of we're just not used to seeing a coach be able to rally them like this. What did you think about Liam Cohen and what he showed in having his team? And the players obviously deserve a ton of credit too, because they took personal responsibility. But before we even get to the in between the 60 minutes yesterday, what a job by Liam Cohen to have that team as ready as they were to play with that edge that they had. I thought it was sensational.
Yeah, when he got hired and when all the talk was about him getting hired, it was all about play calling. Right? He was a good play caller for Kentucky in the college realm. He was under Sean McVay. He had an innovative offense. He unlocked Baker Mayfield's abilities, and he's such a good play caller, and he understands offense and X's and O's and offense and down and outs and draw plays and when to call them. And that was all the talk. What we didn't know, and maybe Tony Baselli and James Gladstone, I guess Gladstone wasn't here yet, but Tony Baselli and all those involved, Shad Khan, those involved in hiring him, what they probably all knew that maybe we didn't is what a great leader and what an understanding of the psychology of the human mind and how to get your players ready to play all the time. When I look at the great coaches, Tom Coughlin was a great coach here. When I look at Mike Vrabel, Bill Belichick, Steve Spurrier, Bobby Bowden, the guys we covered in college, everyone talks about X's and O's, but their ability to get their players to play at the highest level more often than other teams is the greatness of coaches. And you just hit it, Hayes. He had them ready to play. They were ready to play. I mean, honest to God, you only get credit for one win, but they've dominated their opponent now 7 of the last 8 quarters. Problem is the one bad quarter they didn't cost them a game against Houston, but they're a pretty good team. And we'll get to the specifics in a minute, but to not hijack your point, you're dead on. Liam Cohen understands how to get these guys to play at their best more often than other teams, and that's one of the reasons they're very good.
And then I thought play calling yesterday, and again, we got lots of credit to dish out to these players too, so we're going to get to that. But before we move off of the head coach, what a great game plan. I mean, the touchdown to Tim Patrick, I mean, he had the Chargers reeling, a great Chargers defense like we talked about. They were a lead in pretty much every category. Total defense, third down defense. They got a lot of picks. They got a lot of sacks. They did pretty much everything well defensively. And Liam Cohen just shredded them yesterday.
Yeah, I thought the plan was really good. Now, it's easy to have a good plan of running the ball when you're blocking them, right? and I thought they were. But I thought the one running play they put in yesterday, I say put in, I've never seen them use it before, where they toss it one way, he takes one step, and then it's a counter back the other way. I thought that play, they scored a touchdown on it. They had a couple first down. Bashal Tootin is the guy they used on that play the most. I thought that was a great plan. And when you're running it, nobody saw the Tim Patrick touchdown coming because they've been running it so well. So, no, I thought the play calling was, again, yesterday was a home run on every front. Play calling, playing, plan, motivation. And by the way, in terms of ready to play, you can see it on first play of the game. First play of the game, Justin Herbert dropped back, and they blew him up. And you knew right then, one play that the Jags were kind of ready to play. I said that on the broadcast. I said you could tell right out of the gate this is a Jags team that was ready to play, and they really were.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, we talked – the Jaguars dealt with a lot of attrition in this game, and the Chargers did as well. But the Jaguars, for all the players that they had out, to dominate on both lines of scrimmage, you've got to give the offensive line a ton of credit and certainly the defensive front a ton of credit. This was a ass-kicking for 60 minutes. And Liam Cohen said after the game, that's where it started. It started with the lines of scrimmage on both sides, and that's where we won the game.
Well, and I can tell you, you and I on our talk show, on our radio show, talked about this. Sometimes there's some personnel changes that help you. I remember early in the week I asked you, and I gave you some ideas that I had. Number one, Cole Van Lannon in the offensive line mattered. He's a physical blocker. Now, I didn't know Anton Harrison was going to be out, but I think that mattered. They played the two young ends. They played Strigo. Strigo was in the rotation. I mean, if you notice right out of the gate, they 3-end rotation. It was Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, and this Danny Strigo, this undrafted guy, and he was in the rotation right out of the gate. And then B.J. Green played.
I'll be surprised if he's not the next J.J. Watt.
He played pretty well. And B.J. Green came in and had the worst call I've ever seen. If that's roughing the passer, I said this on the broadcast.
What are we doing?
For it. If that's roughing the passer, just go down to Dick's Sporting Goods, buy a bunch of flags, put flags on them, and let's quit hitting. Because if that's roughing the passer, I said
it's one of the worst calls I've ever seen in a football game.
It was horrible, Hayes. And I mean, if that's roughing the passer, then NFL should just come out and say what they want to say, what they're trying to say, and that is, don't be hard on the quarterback. Take it, just put your arms around him, roll him to the ground, pat him on the head, because that's what the NFL is saying is you can't tackle the quarterback hard. Forget targeting and head-to-head and where you target and driving him in the ground. What the NFL is saying is you can't hit the quarterback hard. It's never been more clear. You can't hit him hard. It doesn't matter if it's – forget legal hit, target, legal area. If you hit the quarterback hard, it's a penalty. And that was clear. It was a good hard hit. It was a good legal hard hit. He didn't drive him into the ground. It was a form tackle. His shoulders.
The only thing on him was an arm.
Yeah, and
he didn't have body weight on him.
Yeah, Jeff and I looked at it a bunch of times. We watched it and we talked about it. And I was livid, so I probably wasn't as lucid and matter of fact as he was. But the target area was fine. The head was out of the way, so there was the target area was fine. And they said it was at the end of the play. Well, he didn't drive. He tackled him, and he fell down. And he fell down as he was tackling him. This wasn't a pick him up and slam him down. Anyway, I could go on and on. One of the worst calls I ever saw. But the bottom line, back to your point, the young ends mattered. The Cole Van Lannon mattered. The fact that Emmanuel Ogbah was down. Emmanuel Ogbah's had a nice career. He's been a good, solid NFL player for a number of teams, and good for him. I'm not sure there's much there anymore, and so I think that's the reason he was down. Smoot didn't play as much as he had. He played some, but these young guys played. Dennis Gardeck rushed the passer some. He certainly plays like his hair's on fire and he's got a lot of hair. The reality is personnel mattered, the plan mattered, but back to your original point, the fact that they played with an edge and were ticked off about what happened the week before probably mattered the most.
Yep, absolutely. Jacob Simon's helping us out on Duval Rundown, making it all work for us. We appreciate Jacob's help. Jacob, let's say hello to our sponsor, please.
I'm Rick Ballou, Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside, proud partner of the Jaguars. Drive with confidence. Every new vehicle comes with our exclusive lifetime warranty. 7030 Commonwealth Avenue or online at jackswest.com.
Frank, we talked a lot about the playoff implications of Sunday's game, and boy, the Jaguars now reap the rewards and really get a lot of spoils out of beating the Chargers. Forget even the margin, but now obviously you have the tiebreaker over the Chargers. Denver gets an enormous win over the Chiefs in Mile High, so Denver looks like they're going to take the West, which puts the Chiefs and the Chargers in the wild card hunt. The Jaguars have the tiebreaker over both of those franchises. This is all you need to know about Liam Cohen. We're going into week 11, or we're concluding week 11 tonight. And the Jaguars have a 1.5 game lead on the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, who would have thought that would have even been remotely possible this summer? And that's where they are. I mean, so not only the manner in which they won yesterday, but now you look at where they stand at 6-4, the road remaining. Boy, it's now really starting to look bright for this organization to make the playoffs in this first year of Baselli, Gladstone, Cohen.
Yeah, and you don't want to get ahead of yourself. We all do that. But now that I said that, I'm going to get ahead of myself, all right? I sent this tweet out last night before I went to bed. I was groggy. I sent it right before I went to bed. But they've played 10 games, okay? 8 of those opponents are either 500 or better. They've only played 2 teams that are under 500. Did you realize? The Raiders, who aren't very good, and the Bengals, who lost their quarterback, all right? And they played both of those teams on the road, okay? So only 2 teams under 500, both road games. Now, of their final 7 games, 4 of those games are against teams that are under 500. Now, look, anybody can beat anybody in the NFL. We know that. There's upsets every day. This isn't like college where the favorite team is way better than the other. It doesn't work like that. I understand that. But they have really handled a really tough first 10 games. But I'm watching the Rams and Seahawks yesterday. Honest to God, that's maybe the best 2 teams in the league. And they played the Chiefs, and they played the Chargers, and they played at the 49ers. I mean, and I think the Texans are finding something. I mean, they barely won yesterday, but they are 500 now, and they're playing better. They've really played really good teams. And one other, and this is going to sound like a whiner. Can I whine for just a second?
Absolutely. I love whining.
Me too. They are 2 bad pass interference calls from 8-2.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, and I know the whole league's like that, and everybody could say, well, what about the call on us? I know. I understand that the way the NFL goes, everybody can say we're a bad call from this or that. But we're there. There are 2 bad interference calls from 8-2. They dominated both of those games. And at the end, it got going out. The other team started coming back. They didn't handle it well. They got some bad calls and lost those games. But if your 2 pass interference calls, very controversial. The one against the Bengals was a horrible call. I think the one against the Texans was a bad call too, but I understand both sides of it. He pulled his hand a little. I thought there was hand fighting, which is why he had to pull his hand. But nonetheless, they have a pretty good team. They're in a good place. And Jordan Lewis, Brenton Strange, Anton Harrison, others, all should be scheduled to come back. Now, look, the minute you feel that way, you go to Arizona and Arizona plays a great game. You know, I mean, that can happen. But for the here and now, I'm telling you, Hayes, I love where this football team is. That was a dramatic and a very important win yesterday.
Absolutely. Great stuff, Frank. We always appreciate it. Look forward to talking with you later on the Frangie Show. And that's going to do it for us. We'll be back on Wednesday with Ryan O'Halloran, sports columnist for the Florida Times-Union. Until then, soak it up. Your Jaguars are kicking some serious ass and in the playoff hunt. It's could be a really fun last couple of months here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Appreciate you guys watching Duval Rundown. We'll see you on Wednesday. Thanks so much.